Welcome to an India Today global special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. On this special broadcast, we are having a conversation about the ground realities in Israel. Even as we speak, there are operations that continue against the Hezbollah in Lebanon. There are operations that continue against the Hamas. There are operations that are going on in the West Bank. There are preparations to target Iran. But in midst of all of this, what's happening on ground? There's been a terror attack, the second terror attack in 1 week inside Israel. The first time was Jaffa. Just now it's in Beersheba, in the southern part of the country. And with me are two proud Israelis who join me on the broadcast. With me is Lenny. Lenny is a photographer. He's the chronicler of conflict. He's chronicled the 2006 Lebanon conflict and is chronicling the current 2024 operations. Also with me is Forrest Rain. Forrest Rain, welcome on this special broadcast. She's a writer, she's a strategist, and is someone who's looking very keenly at how opinion is being shaped about this conflict. But Lenny, let me begin by asking you the situation right now in your country as Israel fights a war on multiple fronts. You're actually being hit from within.
Yep, it's very sad to see that we are having attacks from all directions, from the north, from the south, from the east, and our Arab residents also are joining in. Some of them are joining in and making terror attacks toward on Jewish Israelis.
What can you tell me about the incident that has just taken place today, in which I believe a young lady officer, a woman police officer, and perhaps barely out of school in the first couple of years of service, has been targeted? What more do you know?
Well, what I know is that there was one police officer that was killed in this operation, and there are a few injured. I think it's about six that are medium to very hard injured, and a few more that are slightly injured. That's what we know so far. And even sadder is to find out that the attacker was a terrorist, that he is the Arab Israeli from Hura village. It's a Bedouin village in the south of Israel.
And this would be the second such attack that's taken place. When we were coming into Israel, there was this attack that had taken place. In fact, the day the Iranian missile struck, there was a terror attack in Jaffa.
That was another terror attack by two Arabs from Hebron. They came, they stabbed a soldier, they snatched his gun, and they opened fire on just people walking around. Also, a mother of a few months old baby was killed in that attack.
While she was holding the baby.
While she was holding the baby. So what's happening? Why is Israel suddenly in this line of fire from the 7th of October last year? And it's 1 year of the deadliest terror attack on your country.
It's the deadliest terror attack since the Holocaust on our country. We're not suddenly in the line of fire. This has been a plan that is built up over the years. Iran has been building proxy armies to encircle us in order to exterminate Israel for decades. They have a clock in Tehran that says that Israel's doomsday will be at a certain time, and they want us to be gone. It's a genocidal regime that wants to eliminate all of the Jews. So this is planned. And over many, many years, we've had very many different kinds of attacks and different small or sometimes larger bouts of war. And this has all come to fruition from all of Iran's tentacles, are like an octopus that is trying to strangle us with all of its tentacles all at once.
It's interesting you should, talk about tentacles and the octopus, the operations that have been on against Hamas, and you as someone who's chronicling all these developments in your country. How do you look at Israel's progress 1 year down the line? It's exactly 1 year to that deadliest terror attack on the 7th of October from the south.
Well, we learned a lot from that attack. We were caught. We were caught. You could say asleep. We didn't. We trusted our neighbors, which was the mistake number one. We want to believe in peace. We were taught about peace. We teach our children about peace. We want peace. We pray for peace all the time. Our neighbors, we thought that our neighbors were thinking the same, but it seems that they were not. They were preparing for war, and it is not a fair fight. When you prepare for peace and they prepare for war, It is not a fair fight. Now we know better how to prepare and how to what to look out for.
And does that explain why Israel's operations against the Hezbollah are different from Israel's operations against the Hamas? Here, against the Hezbollah, you've been able to, take out not just Hassan Nasrallah and Fuad Shukr and Hussein Sururi, the top, leadership of that organization, but even through those pager attacks, the middle rung of that leadership. How are the two operations so different?
There are politicians and analysts and kinds of journalists and people with ideas who are trying to differentiate and say these people are peaceful and these people are not peaceful, and these people you can make a deal with and these people you cannot make a deal with, instead of looking at the ideology behind the people, what they believe, what is their religion, how do they train their children, what do they teach in school. And then you see that it is the same everywhere. It is the same in Gaza, and it is the same in Judea and Samaria, which is the political term for that is the West Bank under the Palestinian Authority. They have the same teachings in their schools. And it was obvious to also the people who dreamt of peace with those Arabs that Hezbollah is different, and that they don't want any kind of deal and any kind of peace because they didn't have the policy of pretending that they want peace.
Mhm.
Yasser Arafat came with the idea that I will slowly, incrementally take from the Jews their land, and by lying, I will pretend that I want peace. They will give me some, I will advance further, and it will go on until Israel collapses. This is a policy. This is a Palestinian Authority still uses this policy of we will go to the UN and we will talk in diplomatic ways, and they are less encouraging active terror outwardly. They do encourage because they have a pay for slay policy that the terrorists that kills so many Jews gets equation of money salary in return. For the blood of Jews, they get a salary. So they are encouraging terrorism, but it's less out in the open. And in Gaza, it's all out in the open, and in Hezbollah, it is out in the open. So
What
people
is
had different
Israel's
ideas.
strategy? As you as citizens of this country appreciate this. It's been several days of that 181 missiles, ballistic missiles struck your country, and there has been no response. And many argue that United States has been able to prevail upon Israel not to hit back, at least not till elections.
Well, the United States
No,
has a
that's
very
not
clear
going to
interest.
happen.
The United States has a very clear interest not to stop us from hitting back, because Biden and Harris, they have elections in less than a month. They don't want oil prices to go up. They don't care about us. They just want us to be quiet, sit in a corner, absorb whatever we absorbed, and they'll wait till after the elections because they want to win the elections. That's the only reason. That's what is behind it. They don't want oil prices to go up, and that's why they're stopping us. They're actually stopping us from responding.
And is
They're
that
trying to
succeeding? Is
stop
that
us.
succeeding?
I don't think they will succeed this time because it is our life at stake. It is one thing to pull a problem more and more and more. It's like if you have a toothache and you don't want to go to the dentist, you can delay and delay and delay and delay, but eventually you have to take care of the problem. And we are at an explosive point. A country cannot send almost 200 ballistic missiles at us and just go on like it's normal. It's not normal. They say they were targeting military bases, but we're a tiny country. Everything is close to everything. There are missiles rain down on people's houses and streets and everything. It's an absolute miracle that no one was killed. It's an absolute miracle. We have a defense system that is very, very good technologically. It's also a technological wonder of the world, but no system works 100% well. And the fact that houses were damaged and places were damaged and infrastructure was damaged, but people were not killed is a miracle.
What do you see happen now? Will Israel, are you biting as a country? Are you biting more than you can chew? Given the fact that you're taking on adversaries on multiple fronts, whether it's Hamas, and Hamas still retains the capability to target Israel. It may have been diminished, but it's not out even after 1 year of operations. In West Bank, I'm told that there are a large number of weapons, and they too are trying to get weapons to target at deeper ranges inside, even if it's to target Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. So you have the Houthis, rebels. In Yemen, you have the Shia rebels in Iraq and in Syria, and of course you have Iran. So how many can you take on
Let
simultaneously
me
as a
tell you, let
country?
me tell you, let me tell you, military secrets, top secret now. I'll tell you, Israel's army is very, very, very strong. We are only keeping ourselves back. What you saw on the 7th of October wasn't what Israel's army is. Israel's army is very, very strong. If we would want, we could just do, what Russia is doing in Ukraine. We could just wipe out places without any kind of discrimination. Just kill as much as we can, but we don't do that. We try as much as we can not to kill women, children, civilians, people that are not involved. We try our best. If we wouldn't do that, if we would just hit as much as we could, believe me, they would come in my way of doing it. We are feeding. Do you know that we are feeding our enemies? We are sending in trucks with food, with water, with
Medical
gasoline, with medical
supplies.
supplies
But the
to
criticism is
Gaza,
that
to our enemies, to our enemies.
Israel does not permit food supplies to go in. Israel does not permit medical trucks to go
Says
in.
who?
That's the criticism that comes your way internationally. Or food and water and medicines are being used as a weapon to starve, if I may, the
You know,
population of
Say
Gaza
that's
is the
3,000
criticism.
calories a day. I think there are people in some villages in India that would be very happy to have food like that. It is enough food to make a regular person fat. And if Hamas steals, and we know that they steal the food trucks, and then they charge exorbitant prices for the food to the people that live there. So there can be hungry people. There's nobody who's starving, but they are blackmailing their own people with the food that we in Europe and America are giving them.
So you're saying that all the food supplies that go in, Hamas actually controls that, and
They
Hamas does
take
not
it
give it.
to their storage depots, and
And
we've intercepted calls between operatives that they say, "Where our depot is full, where are we going to put this truck? We don't have enough room." They have so much, thousands and thousands of tons of food that
nobody is starving in Gaza.
they take that, and they charge their own people exorbitant prices for regular food. That is true. They're blackmailing their own people for food, but nobody is starving. It's an absolute lie. Just like the lie of genocide is an absolute lie. Because if we wanted to kill everyone in one day, we could, and our sons wouldn't be in danger. Why would we send our own sons to fight and be in danger? If we wanted to kill everybody, we'd send a very huge bomb and finish the story. But that isn't who we are, and that isn't what we do. It's just an absolute lie.
at the same time, they're saying 40,000 people have been killed, but Yahya Sinwar is still out there somewhere, it seems. Israel hasn't been able to one neutralize Yahya Sinwar. Though you were very successful, if it was Israel or Mossad, with Ismail Haniyeh in
Who
Tehran,
knows? Who knows?
and with those pager attacks, whoever
Those
was.
Iranians are not good hosts. Their guests just explode. It's very sad.
But they still, it seems, have 100 of your hostages in 1 year down the line.
Look, when you trust the community and you want people from the neighbors, you want your neighbors, if they want to work and you have a job to give them, you host them and you let them come to your home and you let them do jobs in your farms, and then they make lists of who is the security man, and who is the guard, and who has a gun in his house, who has a dog in his house, where are the security cameras, where is the safe room, where are all these things, and then you find these maps that these people made in their pockets after they were shot, after they were killed, and you see that these same people came and attacked and raided these settlements. That is unbelievable.
They attacked the people who employed them. They attacked the people that put food on their tables, that took their children to the hospital when they were sick. The Gazan workers who worked in Israel, and Israelis were very happy to give them, to employ them, because they thought that if they had higher quality of life, they would be peaceful and they would be happy. And we want everybody to be happy. Why not? If you can work together, live together, why not?
So what would Israel do? Handle the tentacles of the octopus, if I may use your language.
Mhm.
Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. Of course, the Americans are targeting the Houthis right now.
Yeah.
In Yemen. So, or go after Iran right now.
Well, that's have to be seen. We won't tell Iran when they're going to get. They are going to get it. They made a very, very, very big mistake. They they poked the wrong bear, and they're going to get it. Of course, we won't tell them when, we won't tell them how, and we won't tell them where.
Not that long ago, Israel made a strike in Hudaydah in Yemen and in Beirut at the same time, just to show it's a show of capabilities. That's a little taste of what the Israeli army can do when we feel like it, when we decide. And if they can go there, they can also go to Iran. But the strategic decision of when to do it or how to do it or what order to do it in, that is up to the military leaders and the government, of course. Not something that we can say, but it has to be done.
But it could lead to a massive escalation, Lenny, and you could have, you had 181 missiles last time. You could have maybe double the next time, and the Iron Dome or the David Sling could get overwhelmed.
We have answers for these things. We have a very good air defense system that is protecting us, and we can deal with that. And it is much more important to teach the Iranians a lesson, and that they'll see that they cannot attack us without it being answered and without paying a very, very, very high price for attacking the Jewish state, the one and only Jewish state in the world.
Our first female prime minister, Golda Meir, had a sentence that she would say that we have a secret weapon. So we don't have anywhere else to go. This is our home, and we don't have any other home on earth. This is where we stay. You do everything to protect your home, and you do everything to protect your family, because there is no other option. So it doesn't matter how many enemies they are or how strong they are. This is what we will do. And it doesn't matter if America decides not to help us either, because this is our home and these are our lives. And friends are friends, but family comes first. So,
Sure. But, since you raised about how many enemies, which brings me to my next question, and which is Iran has indicated, and there are several commentators in Iran, including one that I just spoke to a little while back on my show, who seem to indicate that this war will not just be vertical between Israel and Iran, it will also be horizontal. And his implication of horizontal was other countries will join, and it will not just remain a Shia Iran or a Shia, militia or a Shia Hezbollah against the Jewish state, against Israel. Their effort is to get the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Turkey, Egypt, other countries to box you in from all sides.
that's a funny kind of thing to say, actually, because Iran is attacking Saudi Arabia. Iran is the enemies of these other countries that you mentioned as well. They have their own militias. They have their proxy armies inside some of these countries. But those are Iran's strategic weapons, not the country itself. And countries like the Emirates and like Saudi Arabia, that they started looking how to make their own country more successful. They're not interested in attacking us now. They're interested in making themselves safe. So why in the world would they side with the country that is attacking them?
No, in case Israel was to, target Iran directly in terms of, taking out their nuclear infrastructure or their energy
So then
infrastructure.
Saudi Arabia would be safer as well. The other countries would be safer as
I
well.
don't know if you know that Israel already did quite a few things in Iran.
In terms of,
We did
Delaying the nuclear
we did do a few things that
plans.
I don't know, but probably it was done by
well,
Israel.
Iran has very directly blamed you. In fact, when I was reporting from Tehran, those cars of the scientists that had exploded, those cars were
All
displayed.
kinds of things happen in Tehran, very strange things. Yes, and that we couldn't have gotten there if we wouldn't have friends all around Iran that don't like Iran. And
Is that how Ismail Haniyeh was also
I
neutralized?
don't know.
The Iranians are just
I
bad
don't know.
hosts. They're
They're very
bad
bad
hosts. It's shameful, really.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get you a perspective of what the thinking is in amongst the section of thinkers, of writers, of photographers here in Israel. By and large, when you speak to people on one thing, they stand united. What Iran has done according to people in Israel, is unpardonable and there must be consequences. What will those consequences be? Whether it will be targeting the nuclear infrastructure, where America has said that's not a very good idea. America is not in favor of that. Will it be the energy infrastructure? Once again, Joe Biden has gone on record to say not a very good idea. But what does that mean? Targeted killing, like the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, like the killing of Hassan Nasrallah or Fuad Shukr or Hashim Saifuddin, the next rung of Hezbollah leadership, or some IRC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders?
The people of Israel would be very pleased if the proud people of Persia were free from the Ayatollahs of Iran.
Interesting. So, how the Jewish people of this land want the Persian people of that land, who incidentally all of them say lived in perfect harmony till the Ayatollahs came, and that's very interesting. The kind of conversations that are happening on the dinner table, on the breakfast table here, and also across a cup of coffee in Israel. So, very interesting. Some would argue a very dangerous times, because Iran is also threatened that in case their energy infrastructure is targeted, that beautiful port behind me, again, a very crucial energy sector of Israel, would and could be in the line of fire. It already has been in the line of fire with multiple rockets going off and air raid sirens being heard almost through the day today.
It's very dangerous times, but our prime minister showed in the UN two options: the option of the black countries that are trying to encircle Israel as a gateway to Europe and America, and
and as black, you mean the evil and not the.
He saw the green map of all from India through Israel, and which one side we have a curse of evil terrorism destroying countries all around the world, and a blessing that can come connecting between Israel and India and to bring the blessing to the world. And
Well,
so these
perhaps referring to the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, which was that deal was inked during India's G20 presidency in New Delhi. And we'll be tracking all these developments very, very closely. But that is all I have for you on this special conversation with two very special guests. Lenny, many thanks for joining me. Forrest Rain for joining me here on this India Today Global special broadcast. Many thanks.